there's a team that you're quite bullish on that I think might be a little bit off the beaten path. And I know you've got a few futures on this team, so take me through the Houston Texans.
Let's go, Houston Texans. I told you at the top of the last segment I was all in on the Atlanta Falcons. I'm like all in off the deep end on the Houston Texans. I seem to be alone on this one, but it's a lot of the same case. I like that Houston brought in a lot of floor raisers. Look, this is a team that frankly hasn't been relevant to the NFL for a few years, right? But they go out, they bring in guys like Sheldon Rankins, Jimmy Ward on defense. They bring in Shaq Mason. They traded for a few guys on the line. And they've just been accumulating talent slowly but surely. Also, while we weren't really watching, back half of last season, the Texans were 10th in defensive DVOA, including second against the pass. And that was without star rookie cornerback Derek Stingley. He missed most of that time. So now you take a defense that was quietly top 10 maybe already. You add in Stingley, shut down corner possibly. You add Will Anderson, third pick in the draft. And here's my first future on Houston. My favorite award bet you can make right now is Will Anderson, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Plus 450 and grab that. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to top defensive picks. 19 of the last 23 such winners were top 15 picks, and usually favorites. 7 of the last 11 winners were plus 900 or shorter. So you want a sack guy. He's got 34 and a half sacks the last 3 years. And now you give him to D'Amico Ryans, who led the best defense the last few years. You get this top 10 core, you add Stingley, you add D'Amico, and then on offense, you get a young offensive line. I wish they'd be a little healthier than they look right now, but Bobby Slowick, the new offensive coordinator from the Shanahan tree, I think he's going to really get that run game going, and that helps because Houston's run blocking has been atrocious for the last few years. So you get some defense, you get some blocking. I think Houston has the best line in the division, the best defense in the division. They're even great at special teams. They're second last year under Frank Ross, who usually has the unit near the top. So I'm picking the Houston Texans to be this year's worst to first division winner. Like I said, 18 out of 20 years, we've had a team go worst to first. This division did it last year. I picked the Jaguars 8-1 a year ago. I'm picking against them now. I don't think the Jaguars are that good. Other than Trevor Lawrence, the rest of the roster has not been that strong. So I'm in on the Texans. Give me 11-1 in the division. I'm playing them right out of the gate, plus 10 against Baltimore in week 1. I'll sprinkle the money line as well. I think they have a chance to win that game. I'm on D'Amico Ryans to win Coach of the Year, 25-1. I got Will Anderson. I'm all over the Texans. This is my team this year.
And I believe you were looking at Dameon Pierce to have the most rushing yards in the NFL as well, which is right around 40-1.
Yeah, got to give the Texans a little bit more of my money. It relates to that Slowick run game. Pierce averaged about 20 carries a game last year when he was healthy. So volume is king with running backs. You don't necessarily need talent. You need a little bit. You just need volume. I think he has a shot at 300 carries. I'm not too worried about Devin Singletary, more change of pace for me. So another guy for me in fantasy, he's a possible league winner. I'm going after his 41 rushing yards. If I'm right about the formula, if they play a lot of defense, and obviously, we haven't said CJ Stroud, you got to protect your rookie quarterback. How do you do that? You run the ball. So give me Dameon Pierce 40-1 to lead the league in rushing.
And you're looking at another rushing prop within the division as well. As joining me on the show, you've got Brandon Anderson. He does tremendous work over at Action Network, and we're diving into some NFL futures. And Anthony Richardson is a guy that I think is really going to struggle through the year. I think that it's going to be a brutal year for the Colts, but with him getting so many reps, I think that you're thinking what I am. He might be this year's Josh Fields and just run the ball a whole heck of a lot.
I agree. I think Anthony Richardson absolutely is this year's Justin Fields. I'm going to take him to lead the NFL in quarterback rushing yards. So you're going to have to find that market out there. Just quarterback rushing yards, 7-1 odds. So Shane Steichen, I think, is a really interesting marriage with Anthony Richardson. Now, I'm not betting on the Colts this year like you. I think I'm betting against them. Richardson, I don't think is ready to play quarterback, but he is ready to play the Fields version of quarterback with a lot of designed runs, a lot of scrambling, and with Shane Steichen, you get the Jalen Hurts role. We saw how he used Hurts last year. That Colts offensive line has a lot of talent. I think can be a lot better when they're a run-blocking centric team. Eagles with Steichen were top 5 in rushes, in attempts, and yards, touchdowns, everything. So I think that Richardson has a good chance to hit 1,000 yards rushing. Only one quarterback ran from 800 yards last season. That was Fields. And Richardson's a big dude, right? We see Fields keep getting hurt. Richardson, I think, is going to have a better chance to stay healthy, and he's clearly not going to get benched. You just got to play him and ride it out this season. I love this bet. To me, it's basically a head-to-head against Fields, and maybe Fields doesn't stay on the field, no pun intended, or maybe Richardson just outruns him. So I'll take him to lead quarterback rushing yards 7-1.
Yep, I think that's a very good look there, and I know you've got a little bit of a look at the NFC West as well. I was talking about mine a little bit prior to you coming on. I think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be in for a really long year. I think that the Rams, they find themselves at number 3. I can't see them superseding the 49ers or the Seattle Seahawks, but I don't think they're going to be quite as bad as the Arizona Cardinals, so I sort of slot them in there. But you're taking a look at the 49ers, and you're going to be taking a look at an alternate win total, and it is not to the over.
It is not. I'm going to take a 49ers alternate under 7.5 wins, plus 650. I think with win totals, we often kind of give the books the credit of like, oh yeah, okay, that's about the right number here. With the 49ers, there's this weird trend. Kyle Shanahan has had 6 seasons, right? 3 seasons, they've made it to the NFC Championship game, to the brink of the Super Bowl and the championship. That's 3 of the 6. In the other 3 seasons, 6-10 or worse, all 3 of them. When it works really well for the Niners. When it doesn't, it goes very badly. And I think there are a lot of red flags for this team here. The offensive line, other than Trent Williams, is really faltering, and Williams usually doesn't stay healthy. Brock Purdy, obviously, there's a lot of questions. Is he the real deal? He had a lot of aggressive throws last year that I think could quickly turn into turnovers if you get the wrong luck going that way. The guys on offense tend to not stay healthy that well. McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle. And on defense, we have no Nick Bosa just yet. So he's really the only big pass rusher on this team. And what does the defense look like without DeMeco Ryans? It's back to DeMeco again for me. I'm a big believer in him. With him gone, what about Steve Wilkes? And even special teams. What about that rookie kicker you brought in? Could that cost them a game or two? So I'm going to be aggressive. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But if the Niners aren't as good as we think, could they really not be as good as we think? Under 7.5 wins, plus 650.
And would you say that the team that finishes ahead of them in the division is going to be the Seattle Seahawks? Because I do think that there's some value on them to be able to win this division. And I do take a look at the hierarchy. And again, I just can't get there with the Rams being able to rise up with the Cooper Kupp issues, especially if this turns out to be lingering. And I want absolutely no part of the Arizona Cardinals at any futures for them doing anything good.
Yeah, I think Seattle by default if it's not the Niners, but Seattle too, I notice on the schedule, they play 8 of my top 12 pass rushes this season. And the one thing we know about Geno Smith is he struggles against pressure. So even that, I just really dislike that division. I still have the Niners as my division winner, even though I have a lot of red flags for the team. So really, to me, the story of the NFC West is not believing in either team that much, which already in a watered-down NFC makes the NFC wide open. That's where you want to go get your Dallas or Philly if you believe in them. That's where you want to get your sleeper in the NFC too.
And then we've got about a minute left for this one. I know that you're going to be fading the Jets a little bit. Take me through what you're taking a look at plus money to fade the Jets.
Yeah, it's the Hard Knocks curse, right? The team does not have any blocking. We've seen that on Hard Knocks. Bottom 10 offensive line, I think. Mekhi Becton, we hope, plays now, but dude's played literally 1 game the last 2 seasons, and he's their best offensive lineman, maybe. They have 1 good weapon in Garrett Wilson. Aaron Rodgers insists on having his buddies around, but we don't like Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator. That's not gone well. I don't believe in Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb. These are your other receivers. I'm not even sure I believe in Aaron Rodgers still. The numbers have been fading since the MVP years. So really, I'm not sure I like a ton about this Jets team. It's a brutal division. They might be the worst defense in the division, even as a great defense. Brutal schedule start out, plus 120 to miss the playoffs. I think they may be out.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.